Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. If you like what we do and want to tip us, you can now do so directly to our PayPal. Check out the link in the description to this episode for more details. And as always, you can subscribe to our Patreon, where we share stories of life in Ukraine in times of war. My name is Artem, and here is the news. 230 days less the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The number of victims of Monday's missile strikes by Russia rose to 20 people killed and 108 injured, reports Suspilne. According to the State Emergency Service, a total of 205 facilities were damaged, including 45 houses. On Tuesday, Russia again conducted missile strikes against Ukrainian cities, again targeting, among other things, energy infrastructure. For example, the missiles and kamikaze drones again hit Ladizhin power plant in Vinnytsia region, injuring 6 people, reports Interfax Ukraine. Due to the attacks, the energy equipment was again damaged. Several regions of Ukraine had no electricity. In Kyiv, an energy company was forced to turn the electricity off for several hours. In the evening, the Russian occupiers shelled the cities of Orikhiv and Stepnogirsk in the Zaporizhia region with multiple launch rocket systems and artillery, reports Ukrainska Pravda. 7 people were killed and 7 more injured. Ukraine's energy minister Herman Galushenko said in an interview with CNN that around 30% of the energy infrastructure of Ukraine has been hit by Russian missiles in the last 2 days, reports Ukrainska Pravda. He said that this is for the first time since the beginning of the war that Russia has dramatically targeted the energy infrastructure. Galushenko believes that the reason for that is export of Ukrainian electricity to Europe, which helps European countries to use less Russian gas and coal. Answering a question about whether Ukraine will receive additional energy from Europe, Galushenko said that this is one of the options under consideration. In his evening video address, President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky said that only yesterday morning Russia launched 28 missiles, of which 20 were shot down, more than 15 drones, almost all of them were Iranian combat drones, and most were shot down as well. He thanked the Ukrainian military who achieved such results. Zelensky separately congratulated soldier Dmytro Shumsky, who shot down 2 cruise missiles with the help of Stinger manpads, saving dozens of lives. The president stressed that the restoration works are ongoing all over Ukraine. Quote, "If it wasn't for today's strikes, we would have already restored the energy supply, water supply and communications that the terrorists damaged yesterday. And today Russia will achieve only one additional thing, it will delay our recovery a little," unquote. Zelensky thanked those who are engaged in the restoration process. Volodymyr Zelensky reminded Ukrainians about the need to use less energy during peak hours from 5 to 10 p.m. He said that just on Monday, Ukraine managed to save a tenth of the energy on average in the country, which allowed the system to work more stable. But the president stressed that the goal should be to save a quarter of electricity. The G7 held an extraordinary meeting yesterday and adopted a joint statement in connection with the missile attacks on the civilian infrastructure of Ukraine, reports European Pravda. They condemned the attacks and pledged to hold Vladimir Putin and those responsible accountable. The G7 warned Russia against the use of chemical, biological and nuclear weapons and called on it to immediately stop all hostilities and withdraw all its troops and military equipment. The G7 states promised to continue the sanctions pressure on Russia and those who facilitate the circumvention of sanctions against it. The G7 members confirmed that they will continue to provide Ukraine with financial, humanitarian, military, diplomatic and legal support as much as necessary. Separately, they called on Belarus to stop contributing to Russia's war by allowing Russian armed forces to use Belarusian territory and providing support to the Russian military. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg said that it's important for Ukraine to win the war against Russia, otherwise the world will be vulnerable to further Russia's aggression, reports Interfax Ukraine. At the press conference ahead of the meetings of the NATO defense ministers in Brussels on October 12th and 13th, he said that the allies use NATO stocks to support Ukraine and it is important to replenish them. Stoltenberg believes that recent massive missile strikes on Ukrainian cities show the weakness of Putin and his army, which is unable to withstand the counteroffensive operation of the Ukrainian defense forces and is losing on the battlefield. 32 Ukrainian servicemen were released and the body of Israeli Dmitry Fialka was returned in another prisoner exchange with Russia, reports BBC News Ukraine. According to the head of the president's office, Andriy Yermak, among those released are officers, sergeants, and soldiers of the armed forces of Ukraine. Defense Minister of Ukraine Alexei Reznikov informed that another 4 HIMARS multiple-launch rocket systems arrived in Ukraine from the US, reports LBUA. He thanked the US authorities and the American people for this help. Reznikov has stated that HIMARS time is good for Ukrainians and bad for the occupiers. Ukraine received the first of 4 IRIS-T air defense systems promised by Germany, reports Militarny. According to the sources of the German media Spiegel, the system has already crossed the Polish-Ukrainian border. According to the German government, the IRIS-T system is the most powerful German air defense system. The ground-based complex is primarily designed to protect the civilian population by repelling air attacks. German government also announced plans to send to Ukraine 16 Slovak-made Zuzana self-propelled artillery systems in cooperation with Denmark and Norway, reports Suspilne. According to the German government, this support will come in addition to all previously announced help. They haven't announced time when those systems will be in Ukraine due to security reasons. The Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine announced the signing of contracts for the purchase of 986 drones for the funds raised for the Army of Drones, reports Ekonomichna Pravda. According to the minister Mikhailo Fedorov, the overall price of the contracts is 1.9 billion hryvnias. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.